All right, here we are at Living Web Farms at the Mills River Educational Farm site of our 3 sites here in Mills River. We're here with Maria Wise from Mills River Partnership, who is the leader of the organization that got us all going on this and recruited us to do our Foster Creek restoration. And I'm pretty excited. I haven't really ever done this kind of propagation, but I did some, well, first, before I did any research, I went to an agroforestry potluck during pawpaw season. When everybody threw their pits in the compost, I pulled them back out and started them.
Nice.
So I got a mix of all the best agroforestry people's pawpaws in the area, and I love diversity that way, you know.
Can you remind me what a pawpaw is?
Pawpaw is the largest North American fruit. It's tropical in flavor. It's shaped kind of like a mango, but not as symmetrical. And it has a taste that people say reminds of mango and banana, but really it's unto itself.
Yum.
You know?
Great.
Yeah. Right. And they actually grow all along the East Coast. They even grow further north. And so we also have 2 different collections. I got seeds from England's Nursery in Tennessee for the Lehman collection and the Kansas State University collection. Now, we didn't get specific cultivars. We just got what they all crossed out to be. So it's going to be genetic relay, but we'll probably get some really good ones, and we can select and we can graft. And you'll see when we get over to the Grandview Nursery that we also have a whole lot of other diversity we're planting besides pawpaws and nuts. But right here, what we're planting is some northern pecans. I'm tickled to have any. We got about 9. I tried for 36, but I'm glad we got 9. You know, and then 1 heart nut. That's the one non-native that we're growing, and then pawpaws.
So, like that big one looks like it's about 18 to 2 feet right now. How much more do you think you'll get before they go in the ground?
I'm actually hoping not tons more. I want more root development.
Okay.
They all have brand new soil.
Yeah.
So I'd rather they just put their energy into roots. I'm not going to give them any nitrogen. I kept this mixed low nitrogen, put a lot of rock dust in it, a lot of pine bark. So I'm hoping to get just a big root mass and as little top as possible. But I'll take what I get.
Okay.
So it's pretty exciting. And then let's show a few other propagation things we did here. We'll see a lot more pawpaws, and we're also propagating a bunch of elderberries, and we'll talk about that for a couple moments. And then we'll head to Grandview.
Sounds good.
Okay. Here's more of the propagation we're doing right now of cultivars of pawpaws and elderberries. We have, by the way, bought 200 pawpaw seedlings from the Missouri Department of Conservation. So we're going to have a lot of native pawpaws too, but we want to have this other diversity of the different collections, and then we can just choose and select and breed and just have lots of fun. And so I'm tickled to have this many big pawpaws, and the ones from the Missouri Department of Conservation look pretty good too. And then we also have here, probably between the ones that are over there and the ones that are here, rooting cuttings of about, probably what's going to be viable. I'm guessing I started 400. I'm hoping for about 250. If I get more, I'll be happy. And these...
Elderberry.
Yeah, these are elderberries, and we just take the wood from, as long as it has a green, xylem, as long as it has that, it's green right under the bark, we know that it'll still do it, And then we just put them all together and get them rooted, and then once we see that there's lots of leaves and some roots on the bottom, we'll soak the heck out of them and gently break them apart and pot them all up individually. And we'll put them in pots. It'll be roughly this size, so we're hoping that by the time we're planting out, sometime I'm hoping in late August, early September, they should be fairly well rooted. And so that is the propagation we're doing here. There's probably, I think, about 60 pawpaws here, and I'm hoping about 250 elderberries, and then, like I said, 9 or 10 nut trees, and they're kind of like the cream of the crop. The rest of the stuff is just really shouldn't be said. These are the cream of the crop as far as humans have been breeding them. I think nature does a fine job of breeding these too. So I think all of the persimmons and pawpaws and choke cherries and all those other native fruits that we're getting will be just as important in the planting. Our goal is to plant an abundance of useful plants. We're also going to, once there's a little more canopy, we're going to root lots of yellow root, put lots of yellow root out there, and loads of pollinator plants, and we'll talk more about those over at the next site.
So we're here at the first week in June-ish, and you hope to put those in pots within the next week. So then they'll have 2.5 to 3 months to root in really well before, hopefully, if the project starts on time.
And the truth is, I'm ambitious. I think I'll probably do half and half. I'll probably do half of them in this size pot,
Uh-huh.
which I'm pretty confident will fill out.
Okay.
But I'll go for half of them in there too, just because
Sure.
I'd like to have really big ones because I want to get as many big plants out there as fast as possible.
Great.
That's it for here, and we can head over to Grandview. Okay, Maria, here we are at the Grandview Nursery, we're calling it now. This is where we are putting in about 1,500, maybe closer to 1,750 plants. All kinds, oaks, sycamores, all kinds of foods that birds eat now, but if we were hungry, we'd be real happy to eat them. Things like choke cherries, aronias, very high in antioxidants, you know. Pawpaws, persimmons, things like beautyberry, which is edible, but nobody really bothers to eat it, but the birds love it, and it's gorgeous. And then all kinds of pollinating plants, too, including a whole bunch that we got from Peaceful Valley Farm, which we know as Ken and Cindy are mushroom mavens. Then we have a whole workshop that they've done about wild harvesting mushrooms and cooking them. But they also have a nursery, and I just called them up and said, I need a bunch of those kinds of pollinator plants. Diversity, I want incredible diversity. What we want this restored area to be is plants that add to the overall diversity for all of life. So it doesn't have to feed us. If it feeds bugs, if it feeds deer, if it feeds birds, if it offers arborage to any of us, and actually I think there's one or two like redbud that just make us happy.
Yeah.
You know, they do feed too, but it's okay for it to make us happy too. But it's about deep diversity with a heavy emphasis on the native food plants like northern persimmon, northern pecan, pawpaw, those kinds of plants. So we are going to put, and then a very slight emphasis on some special non-natives, but still closely related. You know, they've been bred a little more than the other ones. So what John Henry did, we got these here from the Missouri Department of Conservation. It's an incredibly good deal. They do a great job. You can see these are really, really nice seedlings. And if you buy 100 of them, it costs $36. Maybe it'll be $40 next year, but it's just like so cost effective. We can really afford to put lots and lots of good stuff out, you know?
Right.
And experiment with some stuff like false indigo that I've never gotten to play with before. And then we thought we were going to take these right out of the bundles and put them right in the restoration, but then the contractor had different plans. That's the nature of contractors. I don't want to give them a hard time for that. But we had to then quickly think on our feet, and what we did was make a pile of a mix of pine bark and spent potting soil, compost, not very strong compost, rock dust, well-rotted leaves, and mix that all up and then just set them in there. And they're holding pretty well. There's one or two exceptions, but mostly they're holding really well and transplanting out really well too. And so what we're doing right now is putting them in nursery beds, and let's go over and take a look at those nursery beds. We have about 750 plants in this bed, and we hope to put maybe even a little more in this one. So push it back a little further. We're pretty far along in the process, and I'll give a quick demo of how we're doing it. They're going to get to grow here some, and you asked how much bigger they're going to get. We really don't want them to get bigger, you know. What we're looking to do is get more developed root balls, and actually we're planning on root pruning these.
Okay.
So sometime as soon as we know when we're going to hit the ground planting, and we'll root prune by each section as we plant. So Maria, I know there's a heavy emphasis on natives.
Right.
When I first heard that, it's like, well, we're not going to not grow plants that we want, you know.
Yeah.
But then when I looked at what we wanted and stuff, most of them are native
Mostly
anyways. You know?
natives.
And in some plants you go, well, like, why do you think that's useful, like sycamore or birch? But all of those can be tapped,
Okay.
you know. And indeed, then sycamore, if it should need, or if it comes down and we catch it while it's green, you can inoculate it with shiitake mushrooms.
Great.
So there's lots of, you know, it's like we're thinking of all the deep uses for these plants, and going to make sure we have a lot of really big plants that we can put out. I know a lot of these restorations there's a heavier emphasis on live staking, which I'm sure we'll do some of, but we really want to have a lot of roots growing as fast as possible. So thanks for coming out, and I'm going to do a quick demo, but I don't really need to make you stick around for that part.
Okay, well, thank you for showing me all this, and I can't wait to see these go in the project site.
Yeah, it's good. And then I can't wait to see them growing. That's going to be the
Yeah.
most exciting part.
Yeah.
The joy of being able to walk through this and know that we have followed the direction of nature, but been able to kind of tweak it so that it's a little bit heavier on some of the things that work a little better for humans, but still are allowing the natural systems to do what they always do.
Yes.
And of course, we're going to put them all in. nature will decide which ones do well and which ones don't.
Right.
Right, so. All right.
Great. Thanks.
Okay. So if we can go down there, I'll just get a mattock and a shovel and take a couple plants off, and we'll just show how we're putting them in. All right. So these have been doing really well waiting here. You can see they're trying to grow already. We got that new growth. Okay. And so we're going to give these guys a new home. We'll put this in here. I guess we should do it and get the root ball good and wet. The key to successful transplanting is not letting those roots dry out at all. That's really critical. Looks like that'll be deep enough. Yeah, by the time we get the last layer of mulch on, that should be set quite nicely. Then I want to go back with as much of the heavier soil at the bottom. I want the plant to know what it's headed to. I don't want to give it too much nice loose stuff and have it develop some wimpy roots. I want it to work for a living. And we're trying to put these about 8 inches apart, but that was a really big root, so we're going to give them a little more room and have some separation between the different types. Firm it really well. Do one more, give you an idea of what we're doing. A little smaller one here, don't have to go quite as deep, about 8 inches apart. More this base soil first. And then we're going to top it off with this nice mulch stuff. And the last thing we're going to do is fill it in so it doesn't dry out here. And then we're going to give it all, or a lot of this water. Put the tag on it so we do know we're doing sycamores here. We will know them anyways because we know the leaves, but just in case somebody who doesn't know comes and I say go get the sycamores, we'll have that tag to tell them. And then we want to make sure we water them in really well. That's how all of these have been done, and we're going to do all the rest of them this way too. And that is how we're going to have a whole lot of really big, well-developed plants for the Foster Creek restoration. And we'll keep you posted on the project as it develops.